Alright, guess it's time. So, yeah, welcome to How to Draw Mechs. Bet there are a lot of people here that are both experienced and completely new to drawing mechs. So, welcome. As people funnel in, we're gonna do a very simple exercise as outlined in the lesson plan. We're gonna do this for like 15 minutes as people funnel in. So, exercise is just to draw some good old boxes to warm up. So we'll just be doing that for the next 10 minutes or so. So there are a few like levels to drawing boxes. So I'll say this is level 1. So level 1, just take it easy. No perspective. Make sure the lines are parallel. Also, any of you have questions, feel free to type in chat or speak in the mic. So, well, also no pressure, just speak. But yeah, drawing boxes is like fundamental to like anything. I mean, Kimo is a life drawing event, so those of you who do figure drawing know how important boxes are. Yeah, so as a warm up, just draw boxes right now at different angles, and try your best to keep the lines parallel. Also for brush, you can use any brush you want. I'm using like the most basic brush. It's like no pressure, no nothing, just it's like a MS Paint brush. When you get adventurous, you can draw a circle or draw an ellipse. So I have no stabilization on. This is actually kind of interesting. So just checking. Everyone can hear me, right? I'm not talking to the void here. Okay. Thank goodness. So you can actually break down your ellipse just like a box. Draw a line through it. Do this. But for now, don't worry about perspective. So just try to set the direction of an ellipse or a sphere if you so choose. The other primitive to practice is a cylinder. Will also be important. So no stabilization. It's actually like pain in my ass right now. And also try to draw through your forms and always try to break down your primitives with like construction lines. Got plenty of time here. So there is no event that's after mine, so that's good. Alright, that's level 1. Regardless of your level, I think this is always a good warm-up. And I'll copy and paste that. Paste that into here. Also, I'm recording this for shits and giggles, just to see. So if any of you want like the recording, just DM me after. So here's level 2. This is where things get interesting. I'm gonna crank up the stabilization and just thin my line a little. So level 2, you can start with the perspective, I guess. So pretty much what we did before is make sure the lines are completely parallel. Now you want to kind of break that. So one thing I found when you add perspective is that sometimes it's easy to like mess up the proportions. So these are not the same width wise. So you gotta pay extra attention to the proportions of the face. So regarding a sphere, this is actually a something you would do in a more advanced or at level 2. So that you can break a plane. I'm gonna start cheating with a straight line. You start breaking planes down to ellipses. So what I've learned is you have to do to connect the diagonals, divide it in half, half again, half again, half again, half again, and you just go through that. So and you get a perspective accurate ellipse. And from here, you can actually turn this into pretty much anything you want. Let's fix this a little. Some copy and paste this. I'll have an extra. So first, if you extend the planes up, pretending. Oh, level 1 was just boxes, like no perspective, like everything parallel. It's level 1. Yeah. I wish I can pin stuff, but just know how to pin stuff here. But yeah, you can see how once you have the ellipse, you can actually construct anything you want. And I will say, to draw mechs, it's not really about like hardcore like perspective and vanishing points, because it's actually just too much work to figure all that stuff out. So just knowing how to draw like volumes is more essential. So yeah, after you have this, you can make so many shapes. I'm going to be perspectively accurate here. You do have to do this real quick and dirty. You do have to make a second level like this, and then do a cross again. And just going to do quick. Find the top here. Now you got a cylinder. So that's like the basics of how to construct things. So I'm gonna do a few more boxes here to really get warmed up. Subtle differences there's no notable difference, but if you want to add anything to the sphere, so I'm going to draw without perspective first. So this is kind of the next level, but if I do something like this, I want to add like a cylinder to it. Something like this. Or you want to like cut, I don't know, I'm gonna cut a section out, like so. Shit. Honestly, I'm like a little confused myself. So pretty much, if you want to do anything with the sphere afterwards, you probably want to know how it's situated in space. So a more perspectively distorted sphere has different properties. And probably also for like cast shadows, you also want to know. So I'm just gonna cut like a solid chunk of it out. Honestly, I'm like forgetting how to do this. This goes around. This goes in. And when you draw through things, you can always visualize. I guess if you cut it like this, it's going to look like this. So this is wrong. This goes like this. This. Okay, that looks a little more correct. So when you clean that up, yeah, there. I should chunk the sphere. So once you get comfortable with this, you can start like building stuff. Just gonna take it slow. Yeah. Builds like this. I know, just go crazy. You can just keep adding stuff on top of each other. Try different angles. Notice I'm not like barely using perspective here. It's just trying to make sense of things. Cut this entire part. Yeah. Add some spheres here. Stream is full, you're saying? Yes. I don't think the VC has a limit, but maybe I could turn on my camera, my virtual camera. Here. Oh. Well, I can't do it. It's video isn't allowed for more than 25 people, it seems. I'm like super shaky right now. It's like the nerves are getting to me. So yeah, just keep connecting primitives. So if you don't know what a primitive is, they're like different categories, I guess. You purely say 2D, say the primitives are square, triangle, circle. you know anything about 3D, there's spheres, boxes, cones. I think there's a capsule. There's a torus. Maybe like a pyramid. This is kind of uncommon. Damn, this is unfortunate. Damn, that is a lot of people. I've never seen this many. Oh, there's a restream going. Jesus. Look at this. Awesome. Problem solved. Awesome. Alright. Oh, okay. This is that is level 2 done. And I guess to do like a sneak peek for like level 3. So level 3 is where you start really like modifying. So if level 2 is just stacking primitives, like stacking primitives, level 3 would be modifying those primitives. And this kind of goes into like lecture in a bit about shape language. So how do you make like these sharp, I don't know, this object more round? So you add round elements to it. So you can start like rounding out things, and you can cut things like so. That's also kind of rounding. You can, there's a more advanced term called like Boolean, if you know anything about 3D. So this is actually a Boolean when two objects merge. Like it becomes, it's like, this is called a union. And then you can like subtract. So it becomes empty. And there's also intersect, which is just this. All three of these are very useful in their own ways. This is the difference. Intersect / merge. So armed with this knowledge, you can go crazy. Oh, 2 and 3. Intersect / merge is pretty much this little part here where the two objects meet. Difference, if I take away this, I know it's scribble, it will look something like this. So it's subtracted the shape, but it's like still here. And this one, what you get left over is just this piece, like so. So even in 3D, Boolean's kind of like it depends on the program, but some programs use Boolean a lot more. But pretty much you can get to this result with like many different many different ways. The other thing is like beveling and like adding edge detail. So, oh, I definitely did that wrong. So this is only when you kind of understand like the underlying form that you can start like omitting certain lines to make things feel softer and rounder. And you can even start just a perspective in this. Just honestly, this exercise is just about playing with forms and just seeing what kind of crazy combination you can come up with. So just like this. Make a spaceship super easily. I don't know. Like you can cut stuff. You don't have to like pre-plan it like this. This is just kind of like a theory kind of thing. But you can like cut things. Like you can cut into this if you want to. And show that it's cut. And then like keep adding things. So you might think, oh, this is like simple stuff I want to do, complicated mech stuff, but this is kind of where you got to start. Just keep adding simple forms. I'm glad it's making sense. Okay, it's probably almost time to get into the main lecture. But one last thing you could do is like kind of reinforce the silhouette to kind of get a summary of like the shapes here. Just go around the silhouette. And after doing that, I'm like, oh, some parts could be, you know, a little more interesting. What if I did this? I'm like, wow, that's a different feel. And what if this is more curved? And this square shape's a little boring. So what if I rounded it? And oh, I think I can add something here. And yeah, you can. Sky's the limit. So. And also, depending on which shape you start with, you get different results. So if you start with a cylinder, like you're gonna want to attach like different stuff to it. Like, I don't know, just well, I'm glad this is opening your mind. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. So this is like level 3. Combining shapes. And I can probably compile everything at the end, so you don't gotta worry about tracking these guys down. Okay, time for lecture. This is we preach a good old big, medium, small. Medium, small. Yes, hardcore CSP fan here. Okay, I'm gonna add some spice to my brush. So one quick tip: if you want to add any sort of texture to your brush, you don't actually have to apply a texture. Just I like random like density and a bit of random brush size. And I think my favorite is actually brush tip thickness, random thickness. The boxes, I recommend you to try it. The box exercise was to just kind of serve as a stopgap for people to come in, because some people come in late. But this lecture part, you don't have to like do anything, just like listen. So you see, I got like a kind of inky texture now by messing with that. So simple way to explain big, medium, small is just like hierarchy of things. So if you think of a pyramid, and since it's live drawing, the live drawing server, yeah, texture hacks. So in live drawing, you have gesture, volumes, and lastly, you have anatomy. So you can kind of think of this as big, medium, small, right? So gesture, it's like the big shapes, like silhouette wise. And then volume is where you add like shit. It's where you break stuff down. And then anatomy is, anatomy, where you get all the good muscly bits and stuff. Ideally, all three of these are stacked on top of each other. Just gonna undo that. I don't like that example. But for Mechs, it's like the same thing. So there's also gesture, volume, and anatomy. But it's a little bit different. So I have it written down somewhere here. So if you think of percentages, the big is around 60 to 70%. Medium is 30 to like 20%. Small, you should probably go for around 5, like 10 to 5%. And if you think of like proportions wise, the human body is perfectly, oh, I have 3 monitors. Human body is actually broken down into perfect proportions. So like, torso, ribcage, head, that's like the big. Arm and legs are like mediums, and small is like the hands, feet, and any anatomical detail. So let me just color code these. It's like big, medium, small. There are multiple arguments to say like the legs are also like part of the big family or stuff like that, but generally I think you can kind of observe that this is around 60%. This is like 30-ish, and the small parts make up 10. So that's like basic proportions. But what's so cool about the human body, or anything found in nature, is that every part also breaks down into big, medium, small. So, like an arm. Draw an arm properly. Arm, like, this is like big. Like you can say the medium is like this, deltoid, and small, like fingers. So that's kind of the basics for big, medium, small. So I'm gonna take a small tangent to talk about shape language. And this will relate back to big, medium, small. Shape language, think of it like the primary colors, but for design. So I like to call these square, the square, triangle, and circle. So how do you think these two would like correlate with each other? So one thing is that they're both in threes, right? Big, medium, small, square, triangle, circle. So what if we combine them? So if you think of, if you do 30% of everything, you get like an actual jumble mess. Like, what is this even? But as soon as you organize them into a hierarchy, you do big, medium, small. That almost makes like that makes sense immediately. So pretty much anything you see can be broken down like this way. And we'll do some examples in a second. And you can actually swap these around any way you want. So triangle is big, square, medium, small. And each one of these shapes, these primitives, they represent like an essential part of design. And all these shapes can be found in pretty much everything. So a square, its main specialty is parallel lines. While a square has angles, its main, where it shares some property with a triangle, but square mainly is about parallel lines. Triangle, if you modify it, it's kind of about directionality. So a square really doesn't have much directionality. It like, I guess it kind of sinks down. A triangle, you can make it point up, make it go this way. It has the ability to direct. A circle has curves. None of these other shapes have curves, right? So everything you see can be broken down with these three shapes. And squares power is parallel. So none of these have parallel lines. Like circle, there is no way these can be parallel. Like maybe like something like this, but that's more of a square at that point. So there's some like in between shapes. If you merge a square plus a circle, you get a cylinder pretty much. And you merge triangle with circle, you get a cone. And square plus triangle, a pyramid. So that's kind of like super basic explanation of it. And one other analogy I came up with is like, you know, in 3D, you have the x-axis. I think the y-axis is usually green. And you have the z-axis. So these two axes, x and y, I think are just bound forever, right? X is probably shapes, y is proportions. So anything you do with shapes, you should involve proportions, because if you don't, it is going to be a jumbled mess. And I know everything sounds super vague right now, so there will be some practical practices coming very soon. And then in the context of mech design, I would say the z-axis is function. So if you have all three of these in your design, it's gonna be really powerful. Okay, let me go over my notes and see if I missed anything. Do you have any questions? Okay. Okay, so I'll talk about. Yeah, I'll copy and paste this. If you're confused, don't be afraid to say you're confused, because I know that was quite a lot. Okay, here it is. So yeah, I'll do that at the very end. A favorite shape, huh? Well, I'll psychoanalyze my drawings after to see if I have a favorite shape, but I'm pretty sure I do. So in your references, so how this is gonna go is that we're gonna study one of these. Like, do you have a question? Whoever turn on their mic? Okay, I guess not. Nice. Yeah, that it also applies to character design as well, but the same thing applies there. Like, if you just do a single shape without considering the other two, like I found that to be like super limiting. But as soon as you organize them into a hierarchy, it makes a lot more sense. So I'm probably gonna do this one. Okay, I'm gonna have to keep this thing pinned. Where's on top? So what we're gonna do is you're gonna pick one of these references, or you can find your own. I call them objects of inspiration. It's like it's from a course I'm doing right now. I've been doing that like forever. It's just kind of drilled into my head. I recommend picking something relatively simple, like a jet engine. It's gonna be, this is actually a rocket engine. This thing is like freaking complicated, so you don't really know like what each component does. But if you pick like a measuring tape, it's gonna be quite a lot like simpler to understand the function. But it also still has a really cool design. And something like robot arm has like anatomical features, and that's like it's good in between. Okay, so I should probably, there's one thing I did miss. So I'm gonna talk about anatomy. So like humans have anatomy, and anatomy is just, if you break it down simply, anatomy is just like, I have the proper definition is a study of the like internal workings of something. But I'd call it, I think it's actually like a sum of some of the parts of an individual with a focus on function over anything. What I was gonna say. Yeah. So pretty much everything in nature and man-made has like anatomy, and mech design is just translating function over to one another. So, like, going back to like an arm, for example. Arm has like a, if you translate it to like machinery, you have like motors. But if you go even finer, like, I don't know, the muscles, I don't even remember how to draw, like, that's triceps, into like deltoid, something like this. Muscle, since the function of muscle is to pull and contract, and anatomical equivalent is like a piston, right? Piston is designed to pull and contract. And a lot of these things, you can find like correlations between them in like between nature and like machinery, since we mimic everything from nature. Like everything we make is like inspired by it. So yeah, coming back to these references here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna study one of these. You can pick your own if you particularly like something. We're gonna kind of study its language, its proportions, and like form language, and then we're gonna try to like mechanize like organic design into like a mechanical design. So that's why I have like animals, insects, everything here. And as a bonus, you can try to apply the shapes you learned here to the animals. And down here are some examples. And over here are like more of like the humanoid mech kind of stuff. And I don't think we'll get to this because there's a lot of stuff to cover here. But yeah, resources are just here if you want to use it. So let me get drawing because I feel like I've been yapping for too long. So hope everyone picked their object. Okay. Yes, you can get drawing now. And I'll just be demoing how to do this. Yeah, it's at the very top. Oh, thanks, guys. So if you guys don't know, this is actually it's a jigsaw, and how this works is there's some sort of trigger. I think that's the trigger, and then this blade just goes up and down, and it cuts like wood or something. And this piece is like a guard. So if you know the function of what you're looking at, it definitely helps. And if I were to start drawing this thing, let's go a little lighter. First pass, I'm just gonna try and get a feel for it. I think the first thing I noticed is that the primary shape, so primary, is going to be probably like yeah, it's like a square. It's the primary shape. So once I have that, actually, I'm gonna see how convoluted my workflow is. So at this point, you could draw like box. You guys can draw along. Like, just start. Pick your object and start drawing. So right now I'm just blocking in the major forms. So it looks something like this. As I said, primarily a box. Something like this. Usually after I kind of understand what it's like, the primary shape, you can start going into some of the finer stuff. You pick a mechanical object. Tears, you had to get going. It's great having you here. Hope you learned something. And now I'm gonna hyper focus on the silhouette and focus on the silhouette. Start adding details that way. This. Just see the silhouette's relatively simple. So if we just pause for a moment, go back to big, medium, small, you can actually see how well this thing breaks down. Right? A huge shape. Even with the colors, like it's like color separated for you. Big shape, mediums, and then small. And you see how it like leads the eye, and like you can see big shapes are more like circular, medium shapes are more boxy, and a small shape is a triangle, almost like it's got direction. And this is not even including the interior shapes yet, which we'll get to now. Once again, I'm trying to pay attention to the silhouette a lot. And I'm trying not to go too crazy on the internals yet. So that's like, I think that's like the gist of the big shapes for now. So judging from the silhouette, because it's got squares are primary, about 60%. So like this is like parallel. This is also quite parallel. Like it's a lot of parallel stuff, but also it has some curves. You can see it's curves, curves. So it is definitely 30% circle, and it has a very tiny, like 5%. God damn it, I keep missing that 5% triangle. Now going into the internal shapes, and this is like Inception here. Like the internal shapes aren't as important, but they still play a role. So the internals, the silhouette follows big, medium, small, but internals also follow big, medium, small. So there are areas of detail. See, there's some small details here. Small square details. Just gonna do it roughly. And then typically around like a focal point, like the main function of this thing is to cut with this. So most of the detail will actually be focused here. Honestly, the simpler like the outfit or anything, the more it follows big, medium, small. It's kind of maddening how everything is just proportions. And as mentioned before, it's like it's always a good idea to trace over the silhouette, because silhouette can decide so much about a drawing that I find tracing over it always gives me some sort of insight. Like, for example, if you want to exaggerate some of these details, like, you could even show it on the silhouette. So actually not doing what I said I would. And when you're tracing the silhouette, like, it's actually better to just not even lift your brush and like just let it go. And don't forget, this is like anything functional is a focal point. So the trigger is like also a focal point. That's why there's like more details around it. I messed this up. You see the small dots. Small dots indicate where your hands go. That's why they have more details. Okay. That's the gist of the drawing. And I think most of you, this shouldn't be a huge challenge to draw this observationally, but trying to observe everything here. That's like the important part. One little bonus you could do to see if you retained the information, it's kind of like a 3D thing. So it's called like a trim sheet in 3D. I just make a little square. And I try to see if I can replicate any of the shapes I saw, like by packing it into this square. So let's see. It's gonna be a little hard. Actually, I'm gonna switch brushes. I'm kind of sick of that brush. The other thing I like to do is like material sphere. Like, see what I learned. If I can translate it into a sphere. Or material cylinder. Or a material box. So since the primary shape is a square, I think the square might be the easiest. Okay, let's see. Let's see what I can do here. Okay, so first thing I notice is like just a bunch of these round patterns. This is like an experimental exercise that I haven't even done that much of myself, so it's gonna be interesting. Let's see. It's got like it's got this thing. This. It's another thing. Then good thing is I can try again here. I think I'm noticing a pattern. It cuts like kind of like it's like a beveled like square. Then it's got like kind of flowy but still geometric, like rubbery strips. So just trying to find this off. And it's got these patterns for details. So I think I have a better idea. So this exercise here is just kind of brain teaser to see if you can apply the details here to a primitive form. And definitely not easy. That's why it's like, say it's definitely optional. And now don't forget little dots, and it's got like these kind of things too. This kind of like detail. And it has the dots. So just seeing if I can replicate that here. It's like kind of undulating a little. I don't know, something like that. Might look interesting. And yeah, they even get some of these finer details. It's honestly crazy how much detail designs in general have. So I think I'll make an extra strip. It's another big detail I can make some materials out of. So also, as mentioned before, silhouette can be very important. So the moment I start modifying the silhouette, I think I'll just do something like this. All this is kind of, it's just leading up to the next exercise. I think I can do this better now. Okay, we have an hour left. What other forms do I even notice here? It's like, definitely has a negative shape like this. Maybe like this. Yeah. That's the gist of it. Let me try and organize this real quick. Okay. Alright, moving on to the next exercise. I don't know how you guys are finding this one here. Nice. It's a good drawing. So nice. I like how you broke it down to basic shapes. Nice. So the idea for these animal guys here is that this is kind of a just fun exercise to draw something mechanical without too much pressure. Oh yeah, of course. So what you're gonna do is actually just take the animal and like trace over it and try and make it like robotic. I'll send it here, but later I'll compile everything. Nice. Good stuff, guys. Oh, shit. Chainsaw. This measuring tape's also really good. So, you can use the animals I picked, or you can just find your favorite. I find definitely insects, crustaceans, and reptiles to be quite a lot easier because they have more structure underneath them. One sec. Drink some water. So you want something relatively easy, like this beetle. It's gonna be pretty easy. The rhinos also shouldn't be difficult. And I've included here some artists. Originally I had a lot more. We come to this here, and a lot more references. But in order to keep it under 10 megabytes, I chopped a lot of them. So this person is, I think it's Long Chen. So you can look them up, type their name into Google, and I'm sure they're the first thing that pops up. So what they're doing here is definitely a bit more complicated, but overall it's just first understanding the form of the animal and then transforming that form into something mechanical. So you can see they're breaking down the cross contours, silhouette, and enhancing that. So this guy's obviously very good and will imitate what it's doing, but we can do it in a more casual sense. You can see additional drawings to really understand the animal. About the mammals, insects thing. Okay. Generally insects are the easiest because they're already segmented. Their anatomy is a lot closer to machines because I say most machines have very clearly segmented parts, as mentioned with like anatomy. Like anatomy is just the parts of an animal or the parts of a whole, not just animals. Since the parts are clearly separated with like clear like silhouette breaks, here I can even draw. Always forget about this function. Yeah. The big, medium, small is just a lot more obvious, and this is actually a good exercise if you want to. It's a good exercise to break things down, like just on like your reference software. Sometimes I actually prefer this. Let me just keep the. I'm gonna keep the colors consistent here. So, I actually do recommend you to analyze your chosen animal before you go in. So I think these are the big shapes. Alright, take care. Glad you could make it. So, wow, there's still a lot of people here. Holy crap. See you later. I'm sure someone will cover the stream. Oh man, I don't know if my voice is ASMR worthy. Oh, that's good. Small is probably these guys. Take care. Glad to hear. Thank you for coming. Awesome. So yeah, as you can see, I broke down the insect into big, medium, small. Generally, big shapes is like first impression. It also contributes to the silhouette the most. And it's like, yeah, first impression, identity. Then medium. It's like mostly function related. So, you can obviously tell the pincer, this thing has to be used for something. And it's like, you just can't not question it. And then the small is usually context. And yeah, I would say mostly context. So eyes, I can't believe I missed the eyes. Let me do this for another animal real quick. So you can see here, rhino. I've drawn the rhino in recently, so it's like a comfort pick for me. Medium, probably the legs. Probably the face is also medium. And the small. These are the small parts. Second word, medium, usually is function. However, you can see for the rhino, it's a bit different. Like, this is just like a general. It's kind of a general like approach. Each design will slightly vary, and also this concept, it's not, I'm not exactly super well practiced with this concept just yet, but it's just what I kind of figured out in recent times. Okay, I can copy this stuff in a second later. Okay. Hope this will be fun. Sorry, what do you mean the readable? You want me to post the image? Yep. I sure can. Good old snip and snap. And you can also you can find this image in the in a pure ref. So when first tracing the animal, I think I'll approach it this way. First, you get a read of the silhouette first. And you say to yourself, judging by this, I'd say it's mostly square plus circle and then triangle last. But these two are pretty close. So 60%, like 20. Actually, 60, 20, 20 is not a good ratio. What is 60, 25, 50? Yeah, something like that. And in order to mechanize this, you would either exaggerate, you want to exaggerate this silhouette, or you can juxtapose and contrast it. So what I mean exaggerate is, what if this thing is even more square? Like, what if you do like 70% square? Like 70%, 25, and 5. Like, but if you do this, the form of the whale won't change that much. So, for example, if I just straightened out everything, it's just like it looks like a pointy whale. Like, it doesn't look that much different. Probably should not undid that. Cut, paste, hide. But if you switch to form language and say, put circle first, and then square, and then triangle, or even put triangle first, like, these might be more interesting options. But depending on how you influence the silhouette, it's actually like any of these solutions can be fine. So I think I'm gonna do this first, and this is where this little thing comes in handy. So I think I'm gonna copy this, give me a little cheat sheet on the side. So these form languages I marked down will kind of help me influence what I'm drawing here. And if this stuff's too overwhelming, you can ignore it and just focus on having fun. Or you can always do it in iterations. Like, the first time you go through this, you don't have to use any of it, and just like slowly add it in. So let's see. Alright, I'm just gonna stop yapping. Draw for a little bit. I think I will manipulate silhouette this way. Just give it like a massive like hole kind of thing. So while perspective is not important, you still want to, like before, the examples, you want to know like the contour, form of the animal, That's like super important. Should keep that in. The more you break up the silhouette, the more, or the more you change the silhouette, the more like robotic it becomes. I have circles and like round tank kind of thing for mouth. And you can use like the natural anatomy to your advantage here. Something like that. And I know it looks like a submarine right now. I would avoid, like right now, I would actually avoid adding obvious, like any explicit functions, because it starts getting a bit too complicated for right now. Honestly, sperm whales are so goddamn cool, but also absolutely terrifying. They are made to dive. I've been binge watching like Tier Zoo recently, just learning about animals. Yep, they can insta kill you by speaking. And they have like pretty sure I think they're one of the species like a sophisticated like language system, communication between like members of I forgot what they're called when they're in a group, but so since the fin is kind of round, I'm gonna round it like even more. Maybe add some like rubber rudders on it. This. Eyes. So. And go over the silhouette again. Things like that. Well, thank you for attending. I did structure it almost in class. Let's see. I think for my first attempt, I'll actually stay pretty close to the silhouette and not worry too much about it. And Sometimes it's a bit tricky translating like parts that are supposed to bend. Like, I'm pretty sure whales swim like up and down. Like, probably don't bend side to side that much. So, most of the time, if your shapes are fine, it's actually might be better to just ignore it, honestly. See, my main problem is like too many medium shapes, so always trying to catch that before it happens. Okay. Now I can think about adding some of these guys. Let's see. How do I make this guy? Like this. Go like so. I'm just covering like that. So I know their anatomy wise, their nose is like super important because that's where their echolocation gear is located. So you can probably draw extra attention to it, and maybe their blowhole as well. Don't know how good of an idea is to add like the vents, because this is definitely a underwater kind of guy. But if you add it here, maybe along here, some vents. Don't want to confuse the eye. Yeah, just for recording, I'll probably just upload it to YouTube unlisted, and for the compiled notes, I'll send it at the very end in chat after it's over. Oh, take care. Thank you for attending. One thing to watch out for are tangents. Don't think I see any right now. Do be careful. Let's take a look. That looks decent. Once again, to like reinforce the shape, you could. Keep the silhouette. Good push. This part is like, don't really know what to add for this part. Just kind of bullshitting at this point. All right, see ya. Take care. All right, might try another one. just wanted to do the jellyfish. Don't know if I know the function that well though for this one. So I'm gonna try something different. Let's see. So it's a quick analysis. I've concluded that is a circle first. Circle probably square second. Bit of a tertiary triangles like at the end here maybe. So interpreting biological material into mechanical. I think I listed some examples before, but you could also do like any tubular forms. You can make it like wires, and so tube forms into wires. Any like flat, kind of like sheeted. You can make it like kind of like a plate, like segmented. Or you could make it like plastic, or yeah. So I think I'm gonna make this guy really different. Go with the triangle this time. Still want to stick with the same like ratio here, so now the main issue you're gonna run into here is like what kind of detail am I gonna put here. So it's where your object will come in handy. So I'm just gonna do this, lighten it first. Maybe I'll just do like massive modules. Oh man, it's gonna get dangerous. It's gonna have like this is not easy. It's gonna have like plates at the end. Oh, nice. I really like the. I think you got the hierarchy really well. Like those 4 little details. That's like perfect. A little lower on the passing. Yeah, originally I also planned to cover like humanoid mechs, but that's for another day. 'Cause, there's not enough time to do that. I am doing like, see, this is like all equal, so. Not good. Oh, I think I know what it is. It could be like a space station kind of thing. Underwater space station. Not gonna have radar underwater. They'll probably have sonar. Idea. Turn all these soft flaps into not really sure what these things are yet. It's almost looking a bit like octopus-like. Doesn't really feel hard surface enough. How can I organize this? Also, repetition is kind of OP. Mechanical design. Nice. Like what you did, the proportions. Thanks for attending. Looking good. Nice, nice rocket engine drawing. If you guys have any questions regarding mechs or mech design, you can feel free to ask. Fortunately, I feel like even though I cut down on the contents by a lot, I think still some that slipped through the cracks. I think mainly we've explored mechs as like prop design, but not so much as characters. And mechs can they can do both. They're both props and characters. Like, you mean 3D animation or 2D animation? 2D. I'll say mechs. I mean, I'm a big fan of Gundam. All their mechs are hand drawn, so you gotta be doing something right. I do have some examples. Okay. And are you talking about more like humanoid mechs or like robotic? Shit. Dropped it wrong. So, if you know anime mechs, Gundam is a staple. I mean, if you look at this thing, you just think, how the hell is this like animatable? It's kind of crazy, the amount of detail. Yeah, with all like animated mechs. Honestly, I don't understand how they get away with it. But I'll say most people, when they think of mechs, it's like they think of, oh, I gotta get the joints. I have to put the details in. It's like a lot of panel lines, like a lot of wires, cables. But if you look at a Gundam design, or like Gurren Lagann, or like, I don't know, like Code Geass stuff, they actually have they don't really have that much exposed like internals, and like internals is what gets like really complicated. And when they start moving, a lot of like the joints and stuff actually get really simplified. I think that's like honestly one of the reasons why 2D animated mechs still feel like better, because they're like, they get simplified when they're moving, and like that limitation somehow makes them look better. Let me think. Other than that, you could also think about them as like an armature, and definitely study like the way the joints move. And if you look at like the internal frames of like of a mech, like strip away the armor. Honestly, if you buy a Gunpla 2, you understand mech anatomy a lot better. And let me think. Yeah, I'd say just honestly about shapes. Like a lot of like Gundam designs have actually really cool shapes. Like if you break down the aerial, Like, you can break it down with big, medium, small, and literally like everything like makes total sense. And let me think. Gundam also is designed for like toys and to sell merch. So kind of going into a kind of related to a Lost Strangers question, the function of the mech. When it comes to mechs as characters, like as like a big robot, its function is to sell merch. So it's kind of the function is to look pretty and like to have cool gimmicks. Like that's like the function of like a gun, in my opinion. Very humble opinion. Otherwise, to decide function, like you could do what we did here, like take take an object for inspiration. So if I wanted to make, oh, I just had a sick idea. We got the jigsaw, right? Jigsaw. Actually, if you get technical, jigsaw, like the saw moves up and down, and it cuts a piece of wood. You could, I don't know. I was thinking like, what if we attach blades onto like the jellyfish, and then this thing like spins around, and like freaking Beyblades things. Kind of crazy. Um, Honestly, animals is like a really good place to start. Other than that, like, yeah, animals is it's definitely the best place for like for function related things because they're already like super well designed. Yeah. What else? Yeah, that's mostly it. That's what I that's what I can think of. See, regarding some of my favorite designs, like this one here is definitely one of my favorite designs, like ever. And it's like it's an organic to hard surface. All right, take care, guys. Iron Blooded Orphans wise, actually I have the master grade Barbatos, and like the inner frame is honestly one of the best things they've ever made. And if you're interested in humanoid designs, uh, actually speaking function wise, like Armored Core 6, if anyone played Armored Core, like that's a really like function driven kind of like that's a they have really function driven designs. So I could find some. Definitely more than Gundam. Uh, yeah, here it is. This is my. So. Yeah, like these mechs definitely look more functional than Gundam, and their function is to serve like a gameplay element. So every part has weight to it. Every weapon has like specialty. Nice. Oh my god. The builds in AC6 are hilarious. I've seen like Squidward, Mr. Krabs, Windows, like Intel. Some crazy stuff. Yeah, function's always tricky. Honestly, it really depends on like just knowing what you're designing for. Sorry if that was like a really long-winded answer. My original plan, yeah, we have like 8 minutes till planned time. My original plan was to actually make like a humanoid design using like an animal mech that you made. So I guess I can go into it a little bit, like since we already got stuff here. It's more exciting anyways. No, not. I mean, sure, if you guys want to do homework or home fun. So this is like a. It's honestly a really useful little infographic that I've found like last year at Chemo as well. So this kind of explains the different types of humanoid designs. So Gundam designs, since they're like, oh man, if we want to get philosophical, I think the reason why like Gundam or like mech anime kind of resonate the way they do is because their characters are like larger than life, right? So like Gundams, they are like they're not very functional, but they're definitely aesthetically appealing, and they always, I don't know, Gundam protagonists and their Gundams are, they always represent some sort of like ideal, or like there's some sort of symbol, and they're supposed to evoke some sort of emotion. So that's why they're like this. Armored core stuff. So Z-axis armored core. They have like a direction. They are very functionally driven, and they're not. Your armored core is not the main character of the of the story. So they're definitely more functional. And the rest of these, Y-axis and radio type, I'm personally not super familiar with, but there are some pretty iconic designs. So Evangelion's definitely iconic. The way it like elongates, like it's like a elongated like a elongated design, and this radio design, I think radio design feels, it's like Mecha Musume kind of related, in my opinion. So let me take this here. This. Nice. I think that's a really good breakdown on the shapes. Good stuff. Beetle's looking good. So, if I were to turn to whale, let's see. The whale would do well as like a upward kind of design. Got like 5 minutes. This is also where your figure drawing skills would come in handy. Nice. That looks oh, I wonder what object you used for it, because that looks very cohesive. See, I was gonna talk about various ways to concept out the character. Honestly, I might just save this for next time. I think there's enough information for one day. Awesome drawing, guys. Awesome drawings. But yeah, to show you a sneak peek, I was planning to one thing you can do, I was gonna make you guys do, is take this. Let's say, okay, which part of the design do I like? Okay, I like the head. This is cool. Copy this, paste, and then just like slap it into your design. Okay, that looks so cool. That's so cool. And okay, I also really like this part. Copy, paste, then elongate it or something. I'm like, okay, that's a cool leg piece. I'm unpredictable. And you know, you don't have to do it just once. You can say like, okay, what if this guy's like, he has like no legs or no feet, and it's just like thrusters like this, and it's like a big submarine. Like you can get so creative, and it's a good feeling because like when you worked on like your mech, it's like you kind of know which part is cool or which part felt good to you. Like for me, it's like this big form that like eats this little spherical form. Like this is kind of cool, and like this part like I really like. So you can take the cool parts of your animal mech and bash it onto like a humanoid mech. So that was like the gist of the oh shit, wrong layer. Gotta be kidding me. Okay, all fixed. Yeah. And one more minute. The other way, there are different ways to concept. With like a really thin brush, it might be really hard for some people, so you could also do like turn off multiply. Do like blobs, big blobs. Because it's like really wide kind of mech. A little rusty with the blob technique. And we haven't even talked about like anatomical, like how you translate human anatomy into like mechs. Holy shit. You took better notes than that's more organized than I'll make it. Holy crap. Here, that's the official version. You don't even need to wait for mine. I'll just write down. I'm just gonna do here. So copy parts of animal paste transfer. Oh yeah, actually I forgot to mention Lego's like OP. Because like it simplifies things so well. And I think you did pretty decent. Don't need to be so hard on yourself. Like the way you make the shrimp head more angular, like that's really cool. You can since you did that for the head, you could actually do the same for the tail as well. Like instead of the curves, just make it all straight, and I think that would look super cool. Also, if you post these mech drawings, I'm sure it'll count because it's technically animals. So stay safe, guys. Stay safe. I think animals count. They're and those mechs definitely counted for me. God, so chunky. Just chunky. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I'll compile everything and I'll post everything in the event chat. You guys can you guys access the event chat after it's over? I'm personally not sure. No. Well, guess I'll do it now. I'll do it now. Okay, so many layers. And if you want like a volume 2 to this for like humanoid stuff. Oh yeah, this is like some warm up I did before I did this event. I had so much fun with these. And then I'll try to do the owl meme. Alright, I'll get to planning volume 2. I think it'll be a bit easier. I'll try to condense things. I feel like the lecture part got a little carried away with because I wasn't not super like well practiced with like the principles. Alright, got everything. Everything's posted. I think that's all the pages. Well, thank you guys for hosting, and I'll make a volume 2 for humanoids. All right, thank you all for coming. I think I got a locked VC now. It says locked. So DM me if you want like the recording. I don't know if I want to publish that. Can't stand hearing my own voice. Alright. Stop streaming. Alright, see y'all later.